Well, I just had the unfortunate displeasure of having to watch about 5 minutes of CNN, and I guess it's almost like Constantine when he goes to hell, and only like a fucking half a second has passed on Earth, but it's been like a week in hell. You know, it's kind of like that. CNN is just really, really bad. Really, really bad. And before anybody goes to think, oh, here we go with the fake news, like Trump supporter shit. Look, Trump calls CNN fake news, and by the way, that's like one of the redeeming things of the Trump presidency is him talking shit to the media. Like, I honestly cannot get enough of that. But the problem is, obviously, Trump says, oh, CNN is fake news. Check me out tonight on Sean Hannity. Well, the only reason Donald Trump likes Sean Hannity is because Sean Hannity will polish his knob for 30 minutes or an hour or however the fuck long it is. But this CNN interview was one of their hosts. I had to look up the name because I don't know any of their names. Brooke Baldwin. And she was interviewing a small business owner from California who is on for the interview because he is defying the Gavin Newsom California stay-home order. And it was just, like, right off the bat, like I've said, I've been against this shutdown, this lockdown. I know there's people that support it on a federal level, like a federal lockdown, which, like, I guess if I have to give Donald Trump credit for anything, he didn't go for that, even though his enemies wanted him to. Because, yeah, the same people calling him Adolf Hitler reincarnated 2 months ago were like, oh, please, daddy, take over the economy and nationalize all these industries. Glad he at least hasn't done that. But yes, this small business owner was going to defy the California stay-at-home order. And he owns a small business. He gives haircuts. I forget the name of the place. But he was giving the interview on there, and you can tell from the beginning that this is set up of like, well, this guy, we're going to bring him on here, and he's going to have to explain to all of us big brains here at CNN, and to the world listening who thinks that they probably consider, oh, I'm an independent, where they're like 95% vote Democrat, you know, that kind of an independent. All the viewers of CNN, like the regular viewers. Well, they're asking him, like, why is he doing this? And one of the things he mentions, by the way, all of his arguments seem pretty reasonable. He's not like the most well thought out or well spoken guy. But all of his arguments seem totally reasonable to me. He's like, well, you know, I got a lot of employees here. I've pumped my heart into this business. I've pumped a lot of money into this business. And going forward, I've already talked to my staff and everything, and they want to do it too. A lot of them are young guys. We have some young ladies here. They have families. They have kids. Like, we don't want money from the government. We want to do our jobs, and we want to do it in a safe way. And his plan for opening, and the whole time the news anchor is just kind of looking at him, kind of like slant eyes, like, oh, come on, let's be serious now. Keeps repeating things like, everybody wants to go back to work. Everybody wants to go back to work. We want to get the economy going, so we feel you on that. But do you really think it's safe to open? And his plan for the rollout, at least what he says, now I don't know the guy. Is the guy actually going to do it? I don't know. But the guy's talking about how, well, yeah, we're going to just do, like, by appointment. Only one person's going to be in there at a time. We're going to wear gloves. We're going to wear masks. They're going to wear masks. We're going to sanitize everything before and after we have our clients come in. And it's going to be by appointment only. We're not going to have any multiple people waiting in, like, the lobby or whatever. We're going to handle it, you know, everything there sounds reasonable to me. But the fact they're not allowed to do this because the state has ordered a $1,000 fine for any business that tries to open that they deem is non-essential. Now, that is a whole different ballgame. I have a job where I am considered an essential worker. But the idea that the state can tell you what is essential and what is not, as if the state knows. Now, is there any more evidence for central planning than that? And we all know the dangers of central planning. That a central agency, even, you know, obviously, like I said, it's not the Fed doing it in this case, which is obviously better that they're not, and it's just local governments, but that, like, bureaucrats, that career politicians can look at your job and say, well, that's not exactly essential, so we're going to shut that down, and not only are we going to shut it down, but we're going to fine people. And in this case, it was a $1,000 fine that the man was looking at, and looking at possibly getting one every day. And I know here, where I live, that was another thing that was proposed until the governor shut it down. The local government had proposed a $1,000 fine for not wearing masks, and up to 180 days in jail, which is just insane in my opinion. But I've said before, I am for people wearing masks. You need to sanitize your hands. Stay clean, social distance. I'm all for that. But what I'm not for is shutting down all of these businesses, like just right out of the gate. Now, telling people what they should be doing, getting that information out, I'm not against. But $1,000 fine would be insane for this guy, especially when, like, the plan sounds totally reasonable. But obviously, she's not having it. She works at CNN. They have a narrative that they're going to push. The whole time she's talking, you have the numbers of how many have been infected and how many have died worldwide, and then you have it broken down into America, how many have had it, how many have died. Obviously, the narrative is pretty clear there, and it seems to me like I'm trying to be as objective as possible. As much as she tried to make his arguments look ridiculous, they really didn't. And one of the things that he mentioned is because he thinks he has constitutional rights, which he does have constitutional rights. That's the entire idea of the Constitution, is that you have the right to assemble. You have a right to go to do your job and make money and earn a living without the government telling you that you can't. And her response to that was really telling, because I hear this a lot. It's like, I get it. The Constitution, we love the Constitution. But what do you think about Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, or even Washington, telling you that this is not advised, and of course locally telling you that you'll be fined for doing this? And I think this is the bigger point to all of this. If the government, the very entity that the Constitution was created to restrain, if that entity can forfeit your rights because they consider times to be hard, you don't have rights in the Constitution. You really do just have privileges. That's why it's so important for people to understand this. I know they're not saying, look, we're going to throw everybody in prison because of this. Well, in some cases, they're saying if you violate these laws, we will throw you in prison. To which one of his points were, they're letting people out of jail right now for having this virus. But yet you expect me to think that they're going to, go through with the fine, which to me, I think they probably would go through with the fine, but she mocked that off as if no one's being let out of jails. He said jails, not prisons. She was like, no one's being let out of jails, but that's just, factually not true. I'm seeing links to NBC News, to Vox, to the Washington Post, the New York Times has multiple articles on this. Like, the jails are letting people out. And to his point, he's saying, are the cops really going to go through with this when they're letting people out of jail? Which, by the way, I don't think is very good reasoning on his part. But it doesn't seem ridiculous to me. None of the arguments really seemed ridiculous to me that the man made. The man just wants to go to work and make a living, and he's talking about doing it in what sounds like a reasonable and safe way. But a lot of these people think that the problem here is, you're wanting to make money. This is about you making money. This is about business, and obviously this is about the downsides of capitalism, which brings me to the next point. Of course, Bernie Sanders is going to have a just awful, awful take. And Bernie had tweeted today, and obviously I say Bernie tweeted. I don't think any politician except for Trump actually does their own tweeting. Like, when I see a Trump tweet, I think like, oh, that man was taking a shit at the White House when he wrote this. Bernie Sanders tweets, "This is what unfettered capitalism is all about. Trump demands that low-income workers in meatpacking plants either go back to work or get sick, or lose their unemployment checks and go hungry. The struggle for justice continues." Because what we're seeing now as a response to this is just more proven evidence these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. To refer to this as unfettered capitalism, to refer to local and state governments shutting down industries, fining people for going to work or even leaving the house, that is unfettered capitalism. By the way, the meatpacking plants were nationalized by Trump in an attempt to reopen them. That's my understanding, which is like a double dip of bureaucracy. It took bureaucracy to close them. Now it's going to take even more bureaucracy to open them back up. But however you slice it, that's unfettered capitalism. Unfettered capitalism is the government forcing people to stay home and inflating the money. So I guess we all will when the food shortages come, we'll all have plenty of money to eat. You have plenty of fucking Fed dollars to snack on. Thank you, Bernie Sanders, for your input on how this is unfettered capitalism. And he's not alone in this. I've heard AOC say the similar things. This idea that in 2020 America, we have anything even remotely resembling unfettered capitalism. You have to either be a liar, a grifter, or just completely economically retarded. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you like the message, you can follow me on Twitter at autopsy_87. And if you really like the message, you can toss a few bucks my way at paypal.me/autopsyrants. The links are in the description. It's totally up to you, but all support is appreciated. Thanks a lot, and look forward to more.